My name's Adam Manaka and I'm the Financial Controller for Hi-Tec Oils. With our national capacity, we can now service Australian companies nationwide. Of late, we have now expanded into the New Zealand market. Here at Hi-Tec Oils, we receive premium base oils and premium additive packs. Together, with our highly trained staff, we manufacture over 500 premium quality products. Hi-Tec Oils is Australian made and Australian owned.
Welcome to the show. We are here for round number 2 of the Hi-Tec Oils Australian Offshore Superboat Championships here in the Mango capital of Australia, beautiful Bowen. Point standings after a very, very exciting round number 1, and in the Supercat Extreme category, the Mega Fuels entry sitting atop of the table. Back to the Team Australia and the Maritimo 12 running in 3rd spot at the moment. In the Supercat Outboard category, the Mancini Cosmetics is sitting on top of the table there. Back to the Phantom and the Gold Coast City Marina. And the overall point standings for the Championship Oz 1. 222 are the leaders there. Back to Team Australia and then Maritimo 12. Round number 1 was very, very exciting. Plenty of damage and plenty of action. Let's have a little bit of a look.
The Offshore Superboat Championship is made up of basically 2 categories this year. Very exciting. We have Superboat Extreme, which is a common engine. Everyone's running a 750, 780, I think, horsepower engine. And as a result, you saw in the first round in Mackay, we had some very even racing. We have some differences within the boats, but primarily they're a 40-foot catamaran with either surface drives or Mercury number 6 drives. Outboard is allowed up to 600 horsepower, manufacturer's horsepower. We have a variety of engines from the traditional Mercury Racing 280 horsepower, 2.5 litres. We have some Mercury 3.2 Optimax engines, which are proving to be very successful. And now we also have a pair of Evinrudes that race the course as well.
Round 1, we had a little bit of an incident, which thank goodness you guys captured. We went upside down in lovely Mackay, and the boat took a bit of a bath. I don't know why it happens, but we were going around a corner. I think we hooked the bow, we just hit a wave, and she took us right around, and then they tend to just flop over after that. What's going through my mind is, oh my gosh, what happened? The screens in the boat go green. It becomes like a glass bottom boat. And all you're thinking about is your co-driver okay? And making sure that they're okay and getting them out of the boat. My daughter was in the boat with me and she was fine. So we opened the hatch, got out, and all the safety crew were right there waiting for us. We were probably doing maybe 90 k's an hour when we went around the corner. And the safety cells that we have in the boats and the actual safety response, everybody was out there by the time we actually got out of the boat. We actually only had a week in between, and because we're in North Queensland, it's a little bit hard to get parts up. We did get one ECU up, so we got to fire both engines up and they're both running beautifully. BRP did a great job. It took 1 day to get a part from Sydney all the way up to Mackay. But we've got broken cows, we've got a few other broken things, and we wanted to be 100% safe and have a really good check over the boat, so this round we're going to just sit out.
Boat left for Townsville on Monday. We had to go up there do a bit of repair work with their little love tap with Maritimo there a few times at Mackay. So yeah, been a massive week. Boat's not 100%, but we're here and we're ready to race. Thought we'd share the love a little bit with Mancini Cosmetics. Come out of a corner and couldn't quite tuck up on the inside of them, and yeah, sort of lucky to come away with what they did. Not too severe. So yeah, thought we'd share the love there on that one. We had a cracked bulkhead in one of the engine bays and a bit of other damage up the front. Not real structural, but all the structural stuff's pretty sound now, so yeah, we should be good to go. It's anyone's game now. We proved that in Mackay last weekend, and then, you know, we went from the front of the pack to the back of the pack yesterday here at Bowen, so yeah, today it's definitely anyone's game. sort of trying to get the feelers out there of what everyone else is doing and see whether we try to go faster and slower around the corners or just do what we did yesterday and go out there and try to do the same thing.
The last round we had a good run at Mackay, finished up with 2 third places, which was really good. Had to bounce around in a bit of rough water, but none of the gear was broken, so we were very happy coming away from that. So between rounds was just a bit of maintenance and general tidy up. At the moment, conditions are looking really good. We're not hedging our bets just yet. You never know what the wind is going to do in Bowen, so we'll keep the same setup and hope for the same boat speed.
Well, before racing gets underway at round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships, we have the pole position shootout. The outboard boats were the first ones to go out, and picking up third place was the Mancini Cosmetics with Simon Isherwood and Brent Price. They averaged 130.32 km/h average. Into second place was the Phantom with 138.64 km/h average with Mick Walker and Ian Harris. On exactly the same speed, but setting the speed earlier, were Michael and Griff Ethel in the Team 88 Gold Coast City Marina, also with 138.64 km/h average. That shows how tight this is going to be. In the Supercat Extreme category, in third place was Team Australia 2 with an average speed of 143 km/h. That is Brett Lerman and Carl Wall in that particular craft. Then it was back to the 222, Darren Nicholson and Peter McGrath into second place with 144.8 km/h lap average. And the winners of the shootout in the Supercat Extreme category, Maritimo 12 with Tom Barry Cotter and Steve Jellick, setting a cracking 149.79 km/h lap average to put themselves into pole position. And here we go for round number 2 as boats line up at the start. And I tell you what, it's very hard to take Brett Lerman seriously in those glasses. But here we go as the hammers go down. We're on board with Team Australia 2. Brett Lerman and Carl Wall. You can see the 222 on the inside of them. Maritimo on pole position after winning the pole shootout. And on the far outside of them, the other Maritimo machine. Here we go, on board now with the Maritimo 12. They have been blown away off the start. And Tom Barry Cotter and Stevie Jellick, they're going to get a little bit squashed up, I think, into turn number 1. The Fryer boys, they've had an absolutely cracking start in the mega bulk fuels as we tip into the port turn at the bottom end of this beautiful Bowen course for the first time. Let's see who's going to get hosed off, who's going to be where. We saw plenty of action in round number 1 at turn number 1, and look at this. There is absolutely just nowhere to go at the moment. Maritimo 12, Maritimo 11 running side by side as they run out to the jetty and give all the backpackers the shower that they so desperately need. Brendan and Chris Fryer now as they go through, and they can see the concentration there on Chris as he's just tips that boat in the port turn. You can see just out of the window there, and Brendan looking across at the 222. So this is very, very tight racing. This course has a dog leg in it as well, so it negates a little bit of the advantage of running on the inside pole there as well. As we come down through turn number 2, the Fryer boys, they had a fantastic round number 1, although they had some damage in the first race. They came back to win race number 2. Now they're pushing hard. But I tell you what, this boat here, the 222, it certainly looks very, very speedy. Darren Nicholson and Peter McGrath, the Newcastle-sponsored machine here in Bowen for round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. Tom Barry Cotter and Stevie Jellick, they're at the back door a little bit at the moment. This is not a place that they generally want to be. Oh, you need to be so careful when you're running through the rooster tail of the boat in front of them there. You can absolutely flip the boat over backwards. The rooster tail will actually choke up in the tunnel of the boat and throw it over backwards, but they're desperate at the moment. They're at the back of this pack, and it's not a place that they want to be. So they're pushing hard. So too Brett Lerman and Carl Wall and Team Australia 2. Very, very smooth conditions greeting the competitors here at Bowen today, and doesn't it look absolutely magnificent? Oh, that's tight. Team Australia giving absolutely no quarter there. Tom Barry Cotter and Steve Jellick, they have to drop to the outside. This is super close racing in round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships here at the moment, and Tom Barry Cotter and Steve Jellick, they don't like being at the back door here. I'd suggest there may be a problem with that boat. That's not showing the speed that we've seen from it in round number 1. Plenty of damage has to be repaired from these boats. over the 1 week break between race number 1 and 2, and unfortunately no Con and Tay Salamitis here at this round. They are here but not racing after rolling the SUV Simrad boat over. That is disappointing, so we've still got a good outboard category out on the water. The Fryer boys, look at the concentration levels there on Chris now as he's just working that wheel. Brendan on the throttles, hard on it now. These guys have got it all before them, leading the championship table at the moment. Here are our outboard category boats, and it is Michael and Griffith Thal in the Team 88 Gold Coast City Marina. The conditions are going to suit this little rocket ship. Mancini out in front of them at the moment, but the Mancini boat I don't think is going to have the top end to go with these little boats. And the Gold Coast City Marina boat, it's got the same power as the Mancini boat. So both of these boats running the fuel-injected 2.5 litre Mercury racing product, as opposed to the Phantom boat, which running the bigger 3.2 litre engines, in fact. And they'll be pushing very hard. So Mick Walker and Ian Harris will have a red-hot go in this one, I'm absolutely sure. Let's go back to the Supercat Extreme boats now, and we go back on board. Tom Barry-Cotter and Steve Jellick, they have been battling in this one as they go up through the right-hand dogleg out the back end of the course here at Bowen now, and you can see the spray just coming off the boat that's in front of them, trying to pick up who that is at the moment. I think it's the Mega Fuels entry as we watch Team Australia go through as well. Tell you what, this Bowen community absolutely gets behind and backs this race meeting. The community have come out in absolute droves here today, and why wouldn't you? Look at the conditions and look at how beautiful this is. This is Australia, folks, and this is Queensland, Australia, doing an awesome job out here, and what a place to go racing. One of the best racetracks in the world. Have a look now as we see Maritimo again, just with the Team Australia boat running hard on pole there. You can see them right on the turn, boy. The Maritimo boat running in really tight, but then having to overshoot a little bit and run the wide line. So we go through Lerman and Wall. Lerman still with those glasses on. I'm not too sure about that at the moment, but he's pushing hard, and if he can win races, he can probably wear whatever glasses he wants. Carl Wall doing it for Lockie in the cockpit of the boat as well, and the Team Australia boat looking very, very solid at the moment. So it is 222 back to Maritimo at the minute. Megabulk Fuels, Brendan and Chris Fry as they tip into the port turn at the bottom end of this beautiful Bowen course now. They run a little bit wide. You can see the jetties just absolutely lined with spectators out there. Bowen absolutely loves their offshore powerboat racing, and so do we. We love coming here, and we're really enjoying the racing here today. This is round number 2, race number 1 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships, and we go back on board with Brett Lerman and Carl Wall in the Team Australia 2 machine. Race leader in the Supercat outboard category, and this is the little 25-foot shifty catamaran. Mick Walker and Ian Harris. Mickey Walker, the farmer from up there in Queensland, he is an absolute red-hot competitor, and they'll be loving these conditions, the smoother conditions. Let's go back to the replay of turn number 1 now, and as we saw, Maritimo trying to get turned in there, and there was just absolutely white water and spray everywhere, and they did a really good job to probably not take anyone out there. We now go up to the next corner, and we see they just haven't quite got enough overlap to try and get up the inside of the Team Australia boat there, and then end up having to run wide again. As I said before, really, really frightening stuff when you go into the rooster tails of these boats. The force of the water being thrown out the back of these boats is enough to actually flip one of the boats going through behind it over, so you need to be so careful. You can see the big rooster tail out the back of the Team Australia 2 boat as they just fire down this front straight away, and as the boat accelerates. As the boat accelerates, the throttle man will trim the drives up, try and get the propeller speed up, and you'll see as the boat speed catches up to the propeller speed of the boat, you can see the rooster's tail just starting to drop away. So as the speed increases, the rooster tail drops. Under acceleration, the rooster tail comes up. Have a look at Maritimo. They are absolutely throwing everything at this Team Australia 2, guys, and this is absolute paint rubbing stuff now. Maritimo looks like it may have just a couple of mile an hour on the Team Australia 2 boat, but it might be a gearing issue for these guys as we watch them go up through the dogleg turn. This is enthralling stuff. This is all about setup. This is about gear ratios. This is about propellers and who can get the job done here. But Maritimo pokes its nose into the front now over the Team Australia 2 boat. But I tell you what, this is an amazing battle. Team Australia 2, I think, will probably come back in the corner. They seem to have really good entry and exit speed. On board now, Brendan and Chris Fryer, and they're having a nice solid run at the moment. And you can see Chris there, just a little bit of a smile. Want to be careful you don't bite your tongue off, son, there, as he sticks the tongue out in concentration and copping an absolute hiding from these boats. So a good illustration there as the 222 goes through back to the Fry boys and the Mega Bulk Fuels. Then it's Maritimo after overhauling Team Australia too. And now they've got their sights set on the Fry boys. So can they get the job done here? So Team Australia 2 now back out to fourth spot as the Maritimo 12 tips into the port turn at the bottom end of the course now and push on. And they, as we said, are really setting their sights on the Mega Fuels boys. Phantom now, Mick Walker and Ian Harris, the conditions just absolutely coming to this little rocket ship now. This is running the 3.2 litre Mercury Optimax engines. Mick Walker, Ian Harris, as we go on board, and both these guys, absolute consummate professionals. New boat I've heard coming for this team for next season, but this boat is going to continue to run for the rest of the year. The little purple rocket ship, the Phantom, boat number 5. And I tell you what, if they can't win here in these smooth conditions, they're not going to win anywhere. So it's absolutely desperate for these guys to try and get the job done. Got slightly knocked off in the pole position shootout on Saturday afternoon, but actually ran the exact same speed as the Gold Coast City Marina with Michael and Griffith Al, who are tracking right behind them. They're in second spot at the moment, so they've made a little bit of a break on the Mancini Cosmetics. So Simon Isherwood and Brent Price speaking to the boys prior to the race, and they weren't too excited about their prop selection. They reckon that they don't have quite the right gearing to run with these two smaller boats here on these smooth conditions today, but you've got to run what you brung, and that's what they're doing at the moment, trying to get points into the bag. 222 leads at the moment here at Bowen. We'll be back with more fantastic action from round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships in a moment. Welcome back to round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships here at race number 1, and we're tracking with Michael and Griff Ethel at the moment in the Team 88 Gold Coast City Marina. They're running in second spot in the Supercat outboard category, and they're trying to make some inroads into the lead boat, which is the Phantom. On board now, Brendan and Chris Fryer. They're pushing very hard. They're facing a little bit of a challenge coming from Maritimo, and there's Maritimo. Oh, and these guys came together at round number 1. Have they come together again? That was tight. Have a look at the concentration on these boys as they come through. I don't know whether they rubbed or made any contact there, but Maritimo have eaten into the lead of the Mega Bulk Fuels, and in fact now get a little bit of a break on Brendan and Chris Fryer. They won't be happy about that, and they'll be pushing hard. These young guns are hard chargers, and they will not be impressed at all that the 222 and the Maritimo 12 are in front of them. Tom Barry Cotter and Steve Jellick pushing hard out of third spot. Back on board now with the Fryer boys with the replay for Hi-Tec Oils, and you can see how tight that was. I'm not sure that they actually touched, but I tell you what, it was as close. You would not fit a cigarette paper between those two boats as they headed into that port turn there, and you can see Chris having to actually take avoidance action on the wheel. Team Australia 2 pushing along. They've been overhauled a little bit. I'm just wondering whether there may be an issue in that boat, or whether their gearing or propeller selection isn't quite right for these very, very smooth conditions out here at Bowen. Turned on an absolutely cracking day, but a lot of these teams prefer the rough water, and maybe this is one of the teams that's not really enjoying these smooth conditions as much as they like. A team that is enjoying the conditions absolutely magnificently is this crew here. It is the Phantom, Mick Walker and Ian Harris, and I tell you what, I've said it before, if they can't get the job done here today, they'll probably never get the job done. They're out there and pushing hard. Have a look at the wheel work going on in this boat now as they go through. This is a dog legs, quite unusual. Don't have a lot of right-hand corners in offshore powerboat racing. This particular track is quite unique, and it is a very, very fast track today. Mancini, they are struggling with gearing in that boat at the moment. The conditions far too smooth for them at the minute. As we go on board now with Brent Price and Simon Isherwood, this boat is absolutely magnificent. Prepared by Race Marine out of Melbourne in Victoria, and Simon Isherwood, the throttle man, his own business there, as the Team Australia boat goes up the inside of them. Two different categories, and you can see Brent Price just working the wheel nicely there, and I would say that Isherwood almost got his foot on the throttle there, just hammering it as hard forward as he can, because this boat, as I said, not with the gearing that they want to be running here today. They're just looking for maximum attack, but they just haven't quite got the boat speed to get the job done at the moment. Have a look at the spectator fleet as well. Everybody enjoying the action out here today at beautiful Bowen, the mango capital of Australia. And we go on board Nicholson and McGrath. And I tell you what, there's big smiles in the cockpit of this boat at the moment, because they have got a clear track in front of them. They're starting to round up some lap traffic now and not giving an inch either, as they just drop into the wash and then back out of the wash of the boat in front of them there. So can't quite pick up who that is at the moment. We'll get them in a moment for you, but have a look at these beautiful shots coming out of magnificent Bowen there, and that is Isherwood and Price that are getting overhauled there by the 222. We go back on board now with the Phantom, Mick Walker and Ian Harris. They're out in front, they're pretty comfortable at the moment. Most sensitive part of their bodies at the moment will be their ears. They'll be worrying about, can we hear a vibration? Can we feel a vibration? Are all the gauges reading right? Are the propellers hanging together? Are the gearboxes hanging together? These guys are just lurking, waiting to pounce in the Mancini boat. As we said, you can see the wash of the boat in front of them there is just coming right in. I'm not sure which boat. That's probably the 222, I would say, as they just drop through the wash, drop into the wash, and you can see some opposite lock on there for Brent Price. This boat's actually had a brand new electric hydraulic power steering system fitted to it. Talking to Brent, it's taken him quite some time to get his head around the actual feeling of the steering in this boat. It's been heavily modified in terms of the hull as well. The boat's been widened, the cockpit's been moved in that boat, and it's been put to full current spec XCAT series specifications. So the boat is very different from what it used to be when they ran it, and they are taking a little bit of time to get it dialed in, and I would say that propeller selection today probably not ideal for them. Team Australia 2, they've gone out the back door just a little bit, and I'm just wondering whether it's a gearing issue for these guys as well, with top speed really making a difference here today. Walker and Harris, they're still out in front getting the job done nicely. They need to be a little bit careful though, because the Ethel boys in the 88 Gold Coast City Marina are still within striking distance in this race number 1 here, round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. Charging hard down into the bottom turn now, and it is the Fryer boys, Brendan and Chris, in the Megabulk Fuels entry as they tip the boat down into the port turn. You can see the spray coming up off the drive. So you've got Brendan, he'll be trimming those drives up and then looking for maximum attack out of the corners, trying to get the RPM up on the engines. You can see the 2 little sticks sticking up out of the dashboard there on the left-hand side of your screen. They indicate where the trim is, where the drives are sitting. Those little sticks will go up and down depending on where Brendan is trimming the drives to. So that's his indicator, so he knows where the boat's trimmed. And they'll have settings. They'll know where they need to be for corners, for tight corners, for sweeping corners, and then for maximum attack down the big long straights. So just another useful little bit of gaugery inside the boat that you can see. You can actually see that one drive is trimmed a little higher than the other. So the inside drive is trimmed a tad higher than the outside drive. Now, I would say that they do that to get the boat turned in and assist the boat to turn and assist the driver to actually turn the boat in. Gold Coast City Marina, Michael and Griffith Thal on the inside. They get overhauled there by the Team Australia 2. They're running in second spot. Team Australia 2 have been bumped out the back door just a little bit, but they're pushing on and continuing on at the moment and doing a great job. Brett, of course, owns a couple of international powerboat racing teams, and it's great to have him back in the Australian series as well. These guys out in front, they had a consistent round number 1, and now they're backing it up with a very solid race number 1 here at round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. The Newcastle sponsored 222 racing machine as we go on board. Let's have a listen. You see him there just going up through the dog leg, and Daryl Nicholson working pretty hard on the wheel as well, as they did have some handling, some turning issues with this boat, so they've done a lot of work to this boat over the off-season. One of the most professional teams going around, and they really want to take it up to these Maritimo guys this season. They don't want Maritimo having it all their own way. That's what competition's all about. Nicholson and McGrath out in front, and that's where they want to be at the moment as they tip the boat in. Port turn now. And and down the final straightaway, and it is time up. Checkered flag comes out on the Hog's Breath finish boat, and the 222 Newcastle, Darren Nicholson and Peter McGrath take the first win of the season for Team 222 and Newcastle. As they come through, they will be absolutely ecstatic with that one. And let's have a look. You can see the checkered flag just out there to the port side, and they bring the boat home, turn it in, and Darren quite pleased with himself. He just says, yeah, Muddy, we got that done nicely. Maritimo 12, they actually got the job done up into second place there. So they did overhaul the Fryer boys. They got bumped back to third spot. It's still a solid run for those guys. And don't forget that these guys have got one more race here today, and they'll be heading back to have a look at their setups. The Phantom, solid run for them. Ian Harris and Mickey Walker. As we've said, if they couldn't win today, they weren't going to, but they've not disappointed. They have taken a big win. What's going on here? Oh my goodness, Team Australia too. Brett Lerman and Carl Wall, this boat is absolutely on fire. They need to get out of this boat straight away as they get the hatches open. This is a disaster for Team Australia too. An engine in, on fire. And, let's hope they can get that hatch open. They're very, very frantic there trying to get out of this boat. Let's hope they can get it put out. These boats do have onboard fire systems, and quite awkward to get out as both these guys jump out of the boat. They don't want to be cooked marshmallows, and they run from the burning boat. Looks as though they have pulled the fire systems. I can't see the flames. Let's hope they've got that out. What an absolutely devastating scenario. And this may be the reason that they did go out through the back of the field. Maybe one of these engines has had some sort of fuel issue and a fuel leak, and this has now turned into a fire. Gee, Carl Wall being very, very brave there as he opens the hatch up. I don't think I'd be doing that, Carl, but you're a better man than I, Gunga Din. Hatch goes up, and he's still frantically working there. You can see they're pulling the, there's fuel shutoffs in the cockpit. I'd say that's what he has just grabbed and pulled off there. And this is devastating. Safety crews on the scene nice and quick. These guys do have fire pumps on these rescue boats. And I think I can still see flames coming out the cockpit of the boat. Let's have a look at the replay now. It's like the boat just coming to a stop and bang! Big fuel fire in the back of the Team Australia boat. Brett Lerman and Carl Wall. And you just wonder whether they actually knew how serious it was sitting in the cockpit. They can't get the view that we have on our rearward facing camera here, but I tell you what, we're in a big shock to the system when they poke their heads out of this cockpit and see flames just licking up out of the back of this boat. So this is absolutely devastating for the team. Fire does so much damage. Let's hope they can get this out. So moving on now with the race done and dusted into final results. And in Supercat Extreme, the winners, 222 Offshore with Darren Nicholson and Peter McGrath. Into second place, Maritimo 12 with Tom Barry Cotter and Steve Jellick. And into third place, Brendan and Chris Fryer in the Mega Fuels. In the Supercat Outboard, Mick Walker and Ian Harris taking the win in the Phantom back to Gold Coast City Marina with Michael and Griffith Al. And into third place, the Mancini Racing with Brent Price and Simon Isherwood.
Yeah, it was a good start, good waters, and as always, Muddy got the gear set, the props right, so it was okay. The new crew member working out great. I've been racing with Mark before in the past, and John's driving the truck, and great crew, excellent.
It was absolutely fantastic here in Bowen. That first race was just absolutely, it's hard to explain, hard work. It was hard work. We had a real bad start. I believe the carby's flooding on one side, so we got left behind at the start. But then we had to work our absolute guts out to try and get that back. Obviously, we just got to try and fix that carby problem, and yeah, we should be pretty right to go for round two.
We had to start on pole 5, you know, so we needed a good jump, and we got a good start coming into that corner and that, and you know, there's 5 boats deep there, so it was pretty nervous, but we come out pretty good, and yeah, and some really close racing throughout, mate. Maritimo got us there halfway through the race and ducked up on the inside, you know, and yeah, I think it's great for the spectators, mate, to see some very close racing.
Conditions were pretty good. The first 2 laps, well, the first lap was pretty wild actually after following the big boats. We went in the first turn with Griff on our side, and actually we caught up in that rough stuff, and we sort of got a bit out of control, and I think drift went back a little bit, but it was, Anyway, we went round and everything's pretty good, The boat's going well. Like, it's ideal for us, and there's just a bit of chop enough to get going, and there's a few big ones there but you only got to hit a couple and you're back on the smooth, so it's all right.
That was a excellent race out there with Phantom and Mancini. The conditions certainly look good, but the big boats in the first early laps really put some rollers out there for us, and that was certainly a result of the rough water, and certainly credit to the Mancini. They were, they were certainly on it. They were absolutely flat out, and those conditions in the early laps certainly suited their boat, which was a bit bigger, a little bit more horsepower, and so we really had to try hard. So the only way we could get them back was back on the corners again, and Mikey did a superb job driving up the inside of them. Then we just held it flat out and just hung on, and were just able to pull away from them and just kept that distance between them.
Unless the wind blows up or a cyclone hits, we're pretty much, I think, have a pretty big fight in our hands. Those little shifty boats, shifty cats, they're fast. Mick and Griff are doing a great job, but we're certainly trying. It's a little bit of chop, a little bit of swell. We had a very fast start, but once we got going on the flat water, they're 300 kilos lighter than us, or maybe even 400, and it's just they're 26 foot, 400 kilos lighter. It's tough.
Race number 2 about to get underway now, and you can see the Hog's Breast start boat to the far left of screen there with the white flag flying high. Flag drops. We are racing, so tight start, and we're on board with Tom Barry Cotter and Steve Jellick. They are our pole sitters, but the winners of race number 1, the 222, Darren Nicholson and Peter Muddy McGrath, get another good start, and we charge down into turn number 1. These boats will be geared for maximum speed here. We're probably seeing speeds around that 130 mile an hour mark, so around about 220 kilometres an hour as these big 40-foot monsters storm their way down into turn number 1. We saw it get very, very tight in race number 1. This is race number 2. Unfortunately, we don't have the Team Australia boat. The fire damaging that boat quite badly in the engine bay. Here we go. Everybody look like they leave plenty of room there. Maritimo 12. This pole position, this is where it'll help these guys. Run quite wide, and in fact you can just see the jetty on the starboard or the right hand side of the 222 boat just go flashing past, so really nothing in at the moment. Have a look at this in the Supercat outboard category. Gold Coast City Marina, Mickey and Griff Ethel there, the little 2.5 litre Mercury screaming, they're out in front, and behind them, but only by about a boat length, is the Phantom. Maritimo now, we go on board Tom Barry Cotter and Steve Jellick as we go down into turn number 2 and head for the dogleg turn. You can see the other boats actually coming back the other way as we fire up this back straight on board the Maritimo. Still very, very smooth conditions greeting our competitors here, and everybody, we've been talking to them in the pits, everyone's gone big gearing, big propellers. The only one that wanted to go smaller was the Mancini guys, because they are overpropped and they're not getting the maximum RPM out of their engines. So they didn't have a selection, they didn't have anything smaller that they could go to, so they're really just going to have to try and collect some valuable points towards the championship in this one. Barry Cotter and Jellick as they go through and up through the top end of the course now, and this boat pushing hard. They've got a good break. They didn't have a good race number 1. They came good towards the end. We spoke to them in the pitch, and they had an over-fueling issue in that boat, so they weren't getting the acceleration. The boat was running ridge, so the team have made some adjustments. It looks like the adjustments have worked very, very nicely indeed, because Maritimo now out in front. That's a Maritimo 11 boat. This boat very different to the rest of the boats in the field, and you can see there's a graphic example. You can see the 2 black stern drives hanging out the back of that boat. The drive runs through those stern drives, and they're actually what steers the boat. They're Mercury number 6 drive unit. and that boat actually is built to compete in the World Championships in Key West in Florida a little bit later on in the year. But here at the moment, still having a few handling issues, and the guys not 100% happy with that particular boat. Darren Nicholson and Peter McGrath, they had a great run in race number 1. Let's go on board and have a listen to the big 222 machine running through. This is an enthralling battle now. We've got the 2 little boats in the Supercat outboard category. This is Michael and Griffith Thal. Both of these hulls absolutely identical. They're both 25-foot shifty catamarans, Gold Coast City Marina 88 Racing, and on the outside of them, these guys, Mick Walker and Ian Harris. Again, 25-foot shifty catamaran. So both of the hulls identical, but a big difference in the engines that they're running. The 88 running the 2.5-litre Mercury Racing fuel-injected engines, whereas this particular boat, the Phantom, is running the 3.2-litre Mercury Optimax 300 XS engines. A lot more torque out of the big engines, but the little engines very peaky and great acceleration from them. So it's proving to be an enthralling battle between these 2 identical hulls, but slightly different engines. Tom Barry-Cotter and Steve Delic still out in front as we go back on board the Maritimo 12. This is the sight that these guys like to see. Unfortunately for them, they haven't been seeing it too much this season, round number 1 and round number 2. They've really struggled for pace in this boat, and they've struggled with setup, and in race number 1 they certainly struggled with that overfueling issue. Now they've got the boat wound up and they're seeing what they want to see in front of them, which is absolutely nobody. On board now, the Megabulk Fuels, Brendan and Chris Fryer. They are working overtime in this particular cockpit, and they want to try and stay on the podium here at Bowen. They won the round at number 1 in their hometown of Mackay. They haven't had to come too far. And the Mega Fuels. This is an older boat, probably one of the older boats in the category. It was formerly built as a Class 2 8-litre boat. It had a single diesel engine in it when it was initially built. It's had a few incarnations over the years, probably 10 or 15 years old now, this boat, but still very, very competitive. And this boat actually runs a tunnel flap and a wing inside the tunnel of this particular craft, and you can actually see it in the overhead shots. Quite different to the other boats. Shaft driven with the rudder, central rudder down between the 2 tunnels. And these 2 guys, they are fantastic. The crowds just love them. They're good young blokes. They push hard. And the Fryer boys, look at this. Gunnel to gunnel, side by side, deck to deck racing in the Supercat outboard category. This is for the lead. Gold Coast City Marina on the outside, Phantom on the inside. Phantom runs the tight line, but the Gold Coast City Marina, look at the momentum they kept up. I thought the Phantom might have snuck up and poked their nose into the lead with that tight run on the inside, but the Ethel boys doing a fantastic job to hold off a hard-charging Mick Walker and Ian Harris at the moment. This is an amazing battle between the Supercat outboard category. For old Mancini boys, we've spoken to them and they do have issues with gearing on board this boat, and it looks as though Brent Price there on the right hand side of your screen, Simon Isherwood doing the throttling, and it all looks pretty relaxed in this boat at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's a little bit of an issue with this boat. It looks well off the pace. In fact, just having a look at the rooster tail coming off that boat, that's quite high, and it looks like they might even be an engine down in the Mancini Cosmetics. So things going from bad to worse in the Mancini, and you can see it quite graphically there. Big rooster coming off the engine on your left of screen and nothing coming off the engine on your right of screen. They've got an engine or a gearbox issue in that boat. We're not sure what it is at the moment, but I can tell you they're going out the back door fast at the minute. Maritimo now out in front, doing an awesome job, the 12. This is the real battle of the race at the moment between these 2 Supercat outboard boats. Mancini is out of the picture. 88 Gold Coast City Marina and Phantom absolutely gunnel to gunnel, and this is fascinating racing. As I said, same hulls but different power plants, but in these conditions these boats have got fantastic parity, and it's really going to come down to who can get the good line and who can get it done. 88 won the pole position shootout yesterday. Phantom did the same speed, but unfortunately set the speed after the Gold Coast City Marina. Now they're trying to avenge themselves, and you can see the Ethel boys just off the corner of your screen there. This is amazing racing. Who's going to get the job done here? This is incredible. up through the top turn and the inside line. You can see it's just a little bit of an advantage there. Gold Coast City Marina, Mickey Ethel there, just turns that boat in, then he runs wide. This is all about tactics here. The big 3-litre engines with acceleration out of the bottom turn, and the 2.5 litres will wind up as we go down the straight. In fact, here's a good example of it. The little 2.5s, they'll run up to about 8,200 RPM. The 3-litre strokers on the back of the Phantom machine only run out to around about 6,200 RPM. Absolutely enthralling stuff. For those of you technically minded, this is incredible. You would not think that these two very, very different setups would just be running absolutely side by side like this, but they are, and it's great racing. Absolutely intense in the cockpit now, as neither of these teams giving an inch. Team Phantom we're on board with, and you can see the rooster tail from the GCM Gold Coast City Marina 88 father and son combination of Michael and Griff Ethel as we get very, very tight. Running very clean, very fair. Both these guys, great mates off the water, but on the water, they are absolutely red-hot competitors. Phantom now trying to run tight. Oh, look at that, Gold Coast City Marina. They hold them tight. Great driving there from Mickey Ethel. And the Phantom almost has a little bit of a hook as they had to get that boat turned in. I think they came in maybe just a little bit hot there. Let's go on board for this one, because this is starting to get really, really desperate. You could not fit a mango from Bowen between those two boats as they go up through the top turn. This is incredible racing. Fantastic stuff from the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships here at round number 2, race number 2 in mighty Bowen. You can see Ethel there just trying to hold Walker tight. And Ian Harris, in fact, steering the Phantom boat. So the Ethel boys just on the outside and trying to intimidate. That's what you need to do. You need to try and hold them tight. You need to try and make them drive lines that they don't normally want to drive. And if you can, force them into a mistake. That's what we're trying to do here at the moment. Gold Coast City Marina again just charges hard. It's almost like a car with really good brakes at the moment, that little boat. They're coming in with fantastic entry speed, but the Phantom boat has better exit speed. So this is amazing cat and mouse stuff as the Phantom and the 88 Gold Coast City Marina go head to head here at Bowen. Just looking at the replay now for Hi-Tec Oils, and you can see how close these guys get. You can actually see Mickey Ethel just comes in really tight there and tries to just, as we said, intimidate Mick Walker and Ian Harris into trying to get them to make a mistake here in this Phantom boat. But you need to get up pretty early to get those boys to make a mistake as they push hard. Race continuing on, and Tom Barry Cotter and Steve Jellick out in front. We'll be back with some more great racing action here from Bowen real soon. Welcome back, and we are here at round number 2, race number 2 of the Hi-Tec Oils Australian Offshore Superboat Championships, and we are looking at a wounded Mancini Cosmetics with Brenton Price and Simon Isherwood in the cockpit, and they will not be happy. I know they're very, very competitive guys. They've had some sort of mechanical issue with their port engine, I would suggest, and they are struggling on at the moment. Maritimo still out in front. Have a look at the conditions and the day we've got here at Bowen. Where else would you want to be? And this is as much about what offshore powerboat racing is about as even the racing itself. The beautiful places we get to go and the fantastic support. Have a look at the rooster tail coming off the engine on your left of screen. You can see that's the engine that's pushing the boat along. The one on the port side, or the one on your right-hand side of the screen, is just dragging along. So I don't know whether it's a gearbox, an engine, or an electrical problem. Not sure at the moment, but Mancini with all sorts of drama. They're disappointed. They didn't have the gearing that they wanted. Now it looks as though they've sustained an issue, mechanical issue as well. They're going to try and get that boat home. They came into this round sitting on top of the points table. This is going to hurt them a little bit, but they do want to try and get points in the bag. 222 just sneaks up the inside of them there. They just run wide and let the 222 through. No point in trying to race those guys when you're right off the pace. 222 are doing a fine job, and they're running in second spot at the moment. Can they catch the hard-charging Tom Barry Cotter and Steve Jellick? That's going to be the question here. Isn't it a beautiful looking boat? The livery, the whole team, they do a fantastic job. Team manager, Sky Gregory, she runs the whole show with an iron fist, and the spider boat, as we like to call it, comes down into the bottom turn. You can see the jetty there. The crowd's just getting a fantastic view. Even Peter Muddy McGrath, I think he spotted a cute little backpacker on the jetty there. He had a bit of a look, so you want to keep yourself tidy there, son. Sue won't cop that for too long. Phantom now down through the bottom turn. Harris and Walker, they have made a little bit of a break now on the 88 Gold Coast City Marina. This has been an intense battle between these two guys, and it looks as though the Phantom at the moment just with a slight upper hand, but there's really nothing in this. Front straight now, and it looks as though we're going to see checkered flag being produced. We go on board with Tom Barry Cotter and Stephen Jellick, and they put themselves back where they like the Maritimo name to be. That is in P1 here at race number 2, round number 2 of the Australian Offshore Superboat Championships. They pick up the checkered flag. That's not going to hurt their championship, not one little bit. Maritimo, as the crowd goes wild, gets the job done, does the flyby past the jetty, and hoses the fans off, and the fans absolutely love it. 222, they'll come through into second spot. Nicholson and McGrath, just the epitome of consistency. This particular team and boat have been here today and at round number 1, and this boat just getting stronger and stronger. Look out for these guys as the championship goes on, because the 222, Darren Nicholson and Peter McGrath, they get the job done. I think they'll be pretty happy with that. Nicholson just having a little chat to Peter Muddy McGrath. They won't like coming second, but tell you what, it's very, very good points for their team in the championship. Mick Walker and Ian Harris, after that enthralling battle with the Ethel boys, they come through in the Phantom number 5 machine to take the win in the Supercat outboard category, and they'll be absolutely ecstatic with that. That's 2-4-2 from Team Phantom Racing, and I would think that that's probably going to put them atop of the table in the Supercat outboard category and into second place. What a storming run. Couldn't quite get it done in the end, but it is the father and son combination of Michael and Griff Ethel in the Gold Coast City Marina. The Mega Fuels entry comes through. They get the job done nicely. Into third place, Brendan and Chris Fryer and the North Queensland boys. They do a great job. That's certainly not going to hurt their championship at all. Another big bag of points in for the Mega Fuels entry. Go on board with the Fryer boys. Had a few setup issues in the boat, but they are happy. So let's have a look. In first place, it was Maritimo 12, back to the 222 Offshore, and then into third place, the Mega Fuels. In the Supercat outboard category, Phantom taking the win back to Gold Coast City Marina, and into third place, a limping home Mancini Cosmetics.
I think you'll find that with this class this year is that it's going to be really close racing. So Darren was good. He left that lane for us on the inside. We had the overlap there, so we went around. Everyone came out of there unscathed and to keep racing. So, but yeah, it was an awesome corner. I had to take that flat out and the next few as well. So, you know, 222 really were on our heels the whole time, pressuring us the whole time.
Boats are very close, and off the start line, that's what counts. The Maritimo boat was on the inside, obviously, had pole. I was watching him in my mirror. I was flat, he was flat. He was coming up. In the end, I had to say to Darren, we're going to have to give him room. He's got the inside line, and that's the deal breaker. So once you get pushed out a little bit, you're in his wash, you really have to fight for it. But third time in the boat sort of thing, it's progressing. We're pretty happy.
The boat just seems to love the rough water better. We've got the right gears for this weekend. We're probably a little bit short that race, a bit lighter on fuel, so we probably could have gone up a peg, but we didn't have time in between races. But yeah, our boat just seems to love the rough water, as we've seen in Mackay.
Griff's got a whole heap of acceleration out of the corners, which we don't have, and so we were going into the corners pretty well in the same position, but he was coming out each time ahead of us, and then we were catching him when we got to the corner again, so it just happened continuously.
Bowen has absolutely turned it on. The weather conditions, the people of Bowen again have accepted us with open arms, and what a fantastic weekend. Next round is going to be Coffs Harbour, and anything can happen at Coffs Harbour. Let's just hope the sea doesn't get too big for us, and we will be looking forward to have another battle with the boats in the 600 horsepower class.
It's been a pretty tough weekend this weekend with just no boat speed with the very, very flat conditions. Our boat's substantially heavier than the two little boats and we gave it our absolute all, but unfortunately in the second race we've had some sort of issue and lost power on the port side engine, and so we just went for a finish.
With round number 2 done and dusted here at beautiful Bowen, let's have a look at the point standings after this particular round. And sitting at the top of the table now is Maritimo 12. Back to second spot will be the 222, and sitting in third spot at the moment, the Mega Fuels. In the Supercat outboard category, the Phantom goes to the top of the table. Back to the Mancini, and then into third, the Gold Coast City Marina. In the point standings for the outright placings in the Oz 1 Trophy, 222 are sitting on the top of the table there. Back to Maritimo Australia, and then the Fryer Boys in the Mega Fuels. Well, it's been a fabulous round here at Bowen. We've really had a great time. Beautiful surroundings and a great place. We've got Coffs Harbour coming up for round number 3. Really looking forward to that one as well. We'll see you next time.